Now, Lowcountry Forever, a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.
Let me give you a statistic that may shock you, the fact that heart disease, the number one killer of women. And we're going to be talking about women's health today on Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary. I'm joined by Dr. Christine Holmstedt. She is with the Medical University of South Carolina. Her focus, her specialty is strokes and neurology. There's a big event that the American Heart Association is putting on coming up Thursday, May 26th. That'll be at the Charleston Marriott down on Lockwood. It's the Go Red for Women Luncheon as we talk about women's health. And doctor, as I say that statistic about heart disease being the number one killer of women, are most women aware of that kind of statistic?
Actually, more than half of the women in our community are actually unaware of that statistic.
And being that's the case, I think that kind of runs counter to what many people believe. I think most people think, oh, men, they die of heart attacks all the time. That doesn't happen to women. But apparently it does.
Absolutely. And in fact, we know that, as you mentioned, I'm a stroke doctor, and actually women will have more strokes over their lifetime because men will die earlier from their heart attacks, but women will actually suffer from more strokes. We've seen this over the past 18 months, I think, even in particular, and I think it really highlighted that women in general just are so busy taking care of other people and making sure everyone else is okay. And, this event is really great because it really highlights the time for us to for women to reclaim their rhythm, to reclaim their health, and to take back their health and their well-being.
Well, sadly, we can't have a conversation with anyone, and particularly someone who's got a medical background, without bringing up the pandemic, COVID-19. In your professional opinion, in the 18 months, almost 2 years that we've dealt with this, women's health has become worse, or at least it's had a negative effect on women's health?
It certainly has had a negative effect. Unfortunately, in the beginning of the pandemic, we saw a very abrupt drop in patients that were presenting with heart attacks and strokes, and that was for fear of contracting COVID-19 while going to the emergency department. And unfortunately, a lot of people died at home from strokes and heart attacks, and that's not just here in the Lowcountry, that's everywhere. That was an international finding, and it was what we call COVID collateral. But what we have seen just over the past 19 months is, with staying at home and trying to flatten the curve and reducing interactions with other folks, 1 in 5 people actually reported lower physical wellness. So a lot of this is just not getting out, being busy, being active, not spending time with family or loved ones. And 1 in 3 actually reported lower emotional wellness. And I think this isn't isolated to women, but I think it's a good time, especially in May, when we celebrate women's health, to think about our own emotional wellness and what we can do to improve that. And even people who just had mild cases of COVID may have had some changes to the heart and brain that could result in some long-term issues. And so it's important, again, to take that time, plug yourself back in with your primary care physicians, back with your cardiologist if you have one, plug it back into the gym and get back and work out and see family and friends again. Now that we see some light at the end of the tunnel, I think we're in a much better place now.
When you talk about heart disease, I think people automatically think, well, somebody who's out of shape, somebody who's really stressed, high blood pressure, and again, that leads to heart attack. Is that a similar set of symptoms, or is it different? Or can it be different for someone who ultimately may have a stroke?
That's a great question. I'm so glad you bring it up. This is actually May, so it's Stroke Awareness Month. It gives us a great opportunity to remember the signs and symptoms of stroke and the importance of seeking healthcare immediately upon either recognizing or experiencing symptoms. So heart attack and stroke are basically the same thing, but different organs. So a heart attack is an attack on the heart where parts of the muscle of the heart don't get blood because the arteries are blocked. A stroke is essentially the same thing in the brain. So we can call it a brain attack, where parts of the brain don't get enough oxygen and glucose because an artery is blocked up. And the risk factors for both those diseases, we call those vascular risk factors, include things like obesity, smoking, high cholesterol, hypertension, diabetes. And then there are things that we can't control, like sex, like males are more likely to have a stroke, but women will actually have more stroke because we live longer.
Okay.
And certain populations, certain races, especially African American people, are at a higher risk for stroke. So the signs and symptoms include things like acute onset of right-sided weakness or left-sided weakness, acute onset of problems with balance where you suddenly can't walk straight, acute or abrupt onset of difficulty getting your words out or understanding language or having slurred speech. Some patients will develop facial droop when they're having their stroke, and other things can be blindness of one eye or blindness on one side of the world. So we like people to remember the acronym BFAST. So that stands for balance, eyes, F is for face or facial droop, A is for arm. So you ask the patient or person to lift their arm and see if it drifts down. S is for any kind of problem, abrupt difference in speech, and then T is for time. And the T is most important because we want you to call 911 immediately, just like we would ask you to if someone were experiencing, sudden chest pain.
And I think people who have read anything or heard about people who have strokes, I would have to think the overriding thing about Be Fast is the faster that you can get someone treatment, the better their outcome is going to be.
That's exactly correct. The faster we treat patients, the better the outcome from a neurologic perspective. So people are able to return back to work or be back to their normal at a higher proportion than if we wait too long to get treated.
Today on Lowcountry Forever, we're talking about women's health. The American Heart Association Go Red for Women Luncheon is coming up later this month. You've got to get your tickets now for the Thursday, May 26th event at the Charleston Marriott, which is on Lockwood. You can go to charlestongoredluncheon.heart.org to order yours, and we've got links set up to that on all of our Charleston Radio Group websites. We're talking with Dr. Christine Holmstedt. She is a doctor at the Medical University of South Carolina. Now, doctor, we've been focusing on the bad things, but let's move along. The theme for this year's luncheon is Regain Their Rhythm. So what is it that anyone can do to help prevent stroke? And after the pandemic, what is it that we can do to get back into our rhythm?
I got to say, I absolutely love this idea. I think it's a great time for us to kind of reclaim our rhythm, but also reclaim our lives and take control of our health. So some of the ways that we can do that is sort of what they say, mellow out and kind of reduce stress. We know that stress can lead to unhealthy habits. So people that are stressed tend to overeat. They tend to not do physical activity or exercise, maybe more smoking or risk factors for heart disease and stroke. And it can elevate your stress, can actually elevate your blood pressure, can elevate your sugars and cause lots of negative impacts on our health. So it's really important to take the lead and work with your family physician on getting your stress reduction and dealing with any sort of depression or anxiety. One way to do that or to gain some physical activity is just to move to the music. So physical activity has been linked to lower risks of diseases, to stronger bones and muscles, of course, improve mental health and cognitive function. So get out there and start moving to the music. It's a good way to get your heart pumping as well. Other ways that we can really start to reclaim our rhythm is to feed our soul. Everybody likes to eat. There's no doubt about that.
Amen.
But eating meals with your family is super important. It helps to reduce stress, and it gives you a chance to reconnect to the people you love and actually decompress. So regular meals at home with family is really important. It boosts self-esteem. It's just wonderful for your heart and makes the whole family feel connected, which is real important. Stay on beat with your blood pressure. It's really important. Blood pressure is the most common risk for stroke and heart attack, and it's something that we can control with very inexpensive medications that are very effective. So make sure you know your numbers, get in to see your primary care physician to make sure if you're elevated to get that pressure down. And then keep the beat. This is super important. So we talked about earlier, Be Fast and what to do. You need to call 911 if you recognize stroke symptoms. But when it comes to someone with, sudden chest pain or someone that you see that goes into cardiac arrest or is unresponsive, help your community reclaim their rhythm by learning the 2 simple steps of hands-on CPR, which is call 911 and then press hard and press fast in the center of the chest.
You are in a pretty, I would assume, stressful job, doctor. I mean, there's lots of different stressful occupations across the Lowcountry, but because you're a doctor of high stress, can you tell me 1 or 2 things that you might do personally that kind of helps and relieves your stress?
Sure. I carve out time to snuggle with my dogs. It's really important. And I call it my pet therapy time, but it's a really good time for me to connect and not have someone talk back to me like one of my awesome children, but just spending some time and snuggling with them is real important every day. And I also make sure in my schedule, I have a schedule for time with my family. So I know when I'm going to spend my next full day with them and what we're going to do. Make plans, because what you don't want to do is sit home and do nothing when you're thinking about all the things you could be doing. Make a plan with your family, with your loved ones, and then do it and enjoy your time. So I think it's really important. So you have something to look forward to and something you're excited about.
Everyone who's listening now is wondering, how many dogs and what kind of dogs are they?
2 dogs, one very super spoiled boxer who thinks he is a prince, and then a black Labradoodle rescue dog who's super, super sweet.
And probably spoiled a little bit as well.
Totally spoiled.
Very good. We're talking with Dr. Christine Holmstedt. She is with the Medical University of South Carolina. We're talking about women's health because the Go Red for Women Luncheon to benefit the American Heart Association is coming up on Thursday, May 26th at the Charleston Marriott on Lockwood in downtown Charleston. This is Lowcountry Forever. I'm Brian Cleary. Now, doctor, if you're moving to the music, what kind of music are you listening to?
That is a great question. I don't know. My husband plays the music. I just tell him if I like it.
So the doctor's husband is the disc jockey, and you kind of go with that.
He's the DJ. That's correct.
But when you talk about blood pressure, obviously that's something that affects a lot of people. I myself take high blood pressure medicine, but there are other ways. It's not just you have to take a pill. There are some other ways to help reduce blood pressure.
Absolutely. Some of the best medicine and best prescriptions we can give to people is exercise. So even simple things like walking like 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes, that will reduce your blood pressure, reduce your cholesterol, and if you have diabetes, improve those numbers as well, and then reduce stress, which will also help to reduce your blood pressure. So make sure you speak to your family doctor before you start a new exercise routine, but any exercise, just getting your heart rate elevated and get moving.
And the Medical University of South Carolina is known throughout the area as a great place to go if you are affected by a stroke. You mentioned with BFAST the importance of getting that person to medical care as soon as possible. But the other good thing about a stroke, because of the years, all the research and the way medicine and technology has advanced, having a stroke doesn't anymore mean your life ends or your quality of life even is diminished.
Absolutely. So there has been a lot of research that started back in the late 90s, but has really made an impact today. And we're still doing tons and tons of research on acute stroke treatments and then, of course, preventative measures to prevent people from having a second stroke or any stroke at all. And, like when I started as a resident, certainly it was kind of like, oh boy, this is bad. Patients just got admitted to the hospital, usually got an MRI and tried to rehab them. But now we have medications that we can give through the IV that reverse the signs and symptoms of stroke if you get to the hospital in as fast as possible from symptom onset. So the goal is under 4.5 hours, but I want to see you at 60 minutes because that's how long it takes you to get there, and that's it. We want you in the hospital as fast as you can. Much better chance of a better outcome, much lower risk of complications. We also have surgical procedures that are minimally invasive that are performed here at MUSC and other comprehensive stroke centers, meaning we can handle all levels of cerebral vascular disease, where they can run catheters in through the wrist up into the brain and actually suck clots out.
Wow.
Again, these things are done very, very, very quickly and need to be done as early as possible to have the best outcome.
And Doctor, we're talking about women's health today. It's the Go Red for Women's Luncheon. And this is just an opinion question for you, but it'll help me with my wife as well, because my wife is somebody who, she worries about me, she worries about the cats, and then she's third place.
You mean she worries about the cats and then you?
Well, exactly. That is really exactly it. But what is it about women? They tend to not concentrate on their own health as much as they should be, and we need them to.
I think women are just notoriously worried about everyone else, right? We're worried about our families, and then we have children, and we're worried about our children, and we're making sure that everyone's being taken care of. But as a woman, I put myself last in my family all the time, and it's important to remind us, especially this month, in Stroke Awareness Month, on this day and these Wear Red events, which if you haven't been, are so fun and so enjoyable. And I really encourage everyone to go to Wear Red. It's amazing. But it's a great time to reflect on us. And it gives us kind of a starting point for another year of saying, no, I have to come first. I can't take care of my family if I'm not in good health. I can't take care of my family if I become disabled. So it is really an important time to say, okay, and like I said, pencil it in your schedule. Put your exercise in the morning. That goes in your calendar. You have your coffee. I have 30 minutes of exercise, and then I can make your lunches for school. So it's important to put us first. It's a hard thing to do, but it is not selfish at all. It's actually selfless because, if anything, you're keeping yourself healthier for your family.
And on May 26th, that's a Thursday afternoon, we'll be having lunch at the Charleston Marriott on Lockwood. Doctor, will you have the opportunity to be there?
I most certainly will. I never miss it.
We're looking forward to seeing you as well. The Go Red for Women Luncheon to benefit the American Heart Association. We'd like you to go online to charlestongoredluncheon.heart.org. Do that today and order your tickets. Get an entire table for you, everyone you work with, however it is, but we need your support there. Dr. Christine Holmstedt, thanks so much for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for helping us get the important information out to our community.
And you'll be able to find all the information you need to be a part of and participate in the Go Red for Women Luncheon with the American Heart Association. That happens Thursday, May 26th at the Charleston Marriott on Lockwood in downtown Charleston. Just go and click on the Events tab on the Charleston Radio Group website on the station that you're listening to right now. Dr. Christine Holmstedt is with the Medical University of South Carolina, and she is our guest today on Lowcountry Forever.
The Charleston Radio Group is the Lowcountry. Every week, we highlight local organizations and events that are helping to make a difference here where we live. If you have a group, event, or an idea to feature on Lowcountry Forever, let us know. Visit lowcountryforever.com and click on our podcast link for contact information. Now, Lowcountry Forever continues.
June 18th of this year, a big event's going to be going on at the North Charleston Coliseum. Perhaps it's one that you'll consider being a part of, or at least in some way supporting. It's the Memorial Charleston Stair Climb, and we've got the organizers of the event. The event director is John Cole. The event coordinator is Rachel Cole. And Rachel, for someone who may not be familiar with what the Charleston Stair Climb is all about, can you explain the event for everyone?
Sure. So the annual climb is a 9/11 memorial climb where we aim to honor and remember those that were providing service as firefighters, EMS, and police officers and lost their lives in the line of duty on 9/11.
And John, you have a firefighting background. Can you fill people in on that so they get a sense of why it is that you guys are putting on this event?
I actually started my fire service in the Somerville Fire Department and then transferred down to the Charleston Fire Department is where I retired out of. And that's kind of where I was when 9/11 happened. So, and that's kind of what spawned this entire event. With losing the Charleston 9, it was kind of something that we decided to do to give back to our local community.
And John, we can all remember where we were, what we were doing when the planes hit the Twin Towers. You as a firefighter had a different kind of connection to the event as it happened. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it may have affected someone who's a police officer, a fireman, a first responder to now be looking back and having lost so many of your brothers that day?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because on that particular day that happened, I was in the company with Billy Hutchinson on Engine 19, and it was Billy, Earl Drayton, and Brad Beatty were in that company at that time. And we were watching it unfold on television, as we sat there and did our morning routine. And then that happened and just kind of changed everything from there. It was just something that was just unbelievable.
So we look forward to June 18th this year. And Rachel, June 18th, particularly with firefighters, but particularly here in the Lowcountry, has an even deeper meaning since that'll be the 15th anniversary of the Sofa Superstore fire. And I'm sure that'll be incorporated into this year's Charleston Stair Climb event.
Yeah, we are going to be remembering our guys that we lost here 15 years ago on that day. So we will have a special tribute to them. And we'll also have a member of either the families or the department that will be climbing for each of those 9 as well this year.
And so let's talk about the event a little bit because we're talking to a fireman, but you don't have to necessarily be a fireman. This is an event that everyone can participate in, correct?
Absolutely.
Let's start at that point. Rachel, if somebody wants to be involved in the event, what's the first step that they need to do to be a part of this year's Charleston Stair Climb?
So the easiest thing to do is visit our website in order to find the registration link. And it's very simply charlestonstairclimb.com. And all the details are there about how to register and the schedule for the day.
And John, if I participate in this event, I'll get a sense of what it is for you as a firefighter, what it is for firefighters as they go up the building. What is it that I'm going to be, because obviously I'm just not walking up one flight of stairs. So tell me what it is in terms of the preparation and how it's going to simulate what a firefighter does.
So you're going to get an idea when you go into the building. Of course, we're going to have signs and those types of things as you go in related to the World Trade Centers. We'll have visuals up on the large Jumbotron. As you go in, you'll have a tag that you'll get of one of the 412 first responders that perished on that day. You'll see the guys in the turnout gear with air packs on and those types of things with all the weight they were carrying. And then you'll start making that entry into that building and you'll start climbing and you'll start feeling what they felt as they went in. Not exactly, but, just kind of the weight, and you'll get the idea, kind of a simulation for the most part, you know what I mean? So then you'll just continue climbing.
And then as someone who's actually done this, obviously, how much weight am I talking about? And I always think about how much it would even feel more so, because I have to think if you're midway up 100 flights of stairs, that weight got to feel a little heavier than when you started?
Yeah, we're not asking everybody to wear a whole lot of weight. Most of the firefighters will be wearing turnout gear and air packs and that kind of stuff. So you're talking on average 35 to 50 pounds, depending on what they're carrying. Tools, hoses, air packs, that kind of stuff, plus the turnout gear. So generally about 35 to 50 pounds extra on top of whatever your weight is.
And John, it makes it more impressive when I see a photo of somebody, say, in the bridge run, when some of the firemen will run 6.2 miles or even a 3.1 mile run. Have you been crazy enough to do something like that where you're wearing all that equipment for that long of a period of time?
Yeah, let me tell you something. I did the Tunnels to Towers this past September in New York City, and it was quite the honor to race, but I did it in my full turnout gear, and it was pretty brutal. I can tell you, it's going to be hot.
Kudos to you for finishing. We're talking about the Charleston Stair Climb event that's coming up at the North Charleston Coliseum. This event will be on Saturday, June 18th. You're able to register for it right now and get information. Their website is charlestonstairclimb.com, and we've got a link set up to that website on all of the Charleston Radio Group websites. Just click on the event link to get the information. John Cole is the event director. Rachel Cole is the event coordinator. And Rachel, let's talk about a couple of things that are specific to this event. We're remembering the 412 first responders we lost on 9/11. 100 flights of stairs is what we're asking people to climb. Why 100 flights?
Well, Brian, we're not going to let you get out of there on 100 flights. We're going to make you do 110. So 110 is the height that the World Trade Center was. So we are simulating exactly the height that the center was at the time of the crash.
And the start time of the event coming up on July 18th is pretty specific. It's 8:46 a.m. Why would it be that time?
That is the time that the first plane struck the first tower.
You had this event last year, and you were able to raise a significant amount of money. Can you let people know how much that was, and then what did those funds go for?
So last year, we were able to contribute about $13,000 to nonprofit organizations that support first responders. The majority of that, $10,500, went locally to the Lowcountry firefighter support team, who work very closely with our first responders on a day-to-day basis. We also contributed a portion to an organization out of New York called One Dog, One Soldier, One Mission, who pairs dogs that are rescue dogs with PTSD veterans. And then a third organization out of Texas called the Texas Brotherhood Ride, which rides bicycles across the state and sometimes across the country to remember those that have fallen in line of duty in Texas.
John, if you could share a little bit about your career as a firefighter, retired now, how long, at least among the firefighters that you've been with, what's the average length, say, of a career? How long does somebody normally stay a firefighter?
Generally, just about their entire adult life, I would imagine, in between 25 to 35 years is about average. And that's a long time when you're talking about living at a fire station every third day. You're spending a third of your life at that fire department and giving everything that you've got to that fire department.
And work through that for me if you could, because I think people may not understand. Obviously, firefighting's not hey, I punch in at 8, I take an hour for lunch, and then I go drive home at 5. When you're reporting for duty on your particular shift, walk me through that, how that would actually happen.
So when you get there at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're pretty much kind of doing a turnover with the guy that worked the day before you. And then at that point in time, you kind of go over what's going to happen that day with him and then what went on. And then you'll go through the log, the journal, that kind of stuff. And then your guys will start coming in. And then about 8 o'clock, you kind of really start going through the motions for the day. You start going over all the drills with the guys and what's going to happen throughout the day. And then you really kind of really get into it. You start doing like normal drill, whether it be ladders, ropes, and knots, and those types of things at 9, 10 o'clock. And then after that, you'll do that all the way until 12 o'clock at lunchtime. And then after that, you'll do some book reading and that kind of stuff and studying your districts and mapping and those types of things. And there's a lot of online classes that people are doing right now just to kind of for education purposes. And then in the evening time, we'll all come together, all have dinner together. That's kind of family time. Then we'll work out those types of things. But throughout that entire 24-hour shift, now we're all subject to calls. So all those scheduled things may change throughout the entire day. So, if you get a fully blown fire at 7:30 in the morning, you got to be Johnny on the spot and ready to roll. It's just not something that is you're walking into an office and you have dot calls to make. It's not the case. We are subject to calls, and those are emergency calls. So every time that bell goes off, we're going to somebody's worst day.
And every time I see this in a movie on TV, the fire bell always goes off while you're eating dinner. Obviously, that's got to happen sometimes, I guess, right?
Yeah, more times than you would think. Yeah. A lot of times, food's left on the table, the stoves are left on. There's been quite a few times when you come back to the station and it's full of smoke, or the dispatcher calls you on the radio, or calls your cell phone and tells you that you got smoke coming out your fire station. You need to return to quarters.
And people have to be curious. I know I am. It's a little off subject, but if you wouldn't mind sharing. So is it John's the cook for the day, or is there somebody that that's on your squad that's the good cook? How is it that you figure out, one, who's preparing, and two, what you're eating?
Man, it's kind of a toss-up. Generally, if we got a person that cooks really well, that person will just kind of take that lead role in cooking. So you'll have that person that's really good in the kitchen. You'll have that person that's really good on the grill. But a lot of times, if you have a probationary firefighter, you'll put him in the cooking situation. But if he cooks one bad meal, he's in a lot of trouble. But we generally try to get out there and participate as a team. All of us each kind of do something a little different each time it comes around. So we all take turns.
It's the way it needs to be. We're talking about the Charleston Stair Climb. It's an event coming up at the North Charleston Coliseum on Saturday, June 18th. Hopefully it's an event you will get a part of. John Cole is the event director, and Rachel Cole is the event coordinator. Now, Rachel, what kind of support are you getting from the community in terms of businesses and other folks who are stepping up to help out and be a part of the event?
It's been wonderful. We are constantly looking for sponsors to get the costs of the event covered through the sponsorship so that we're able to donate more money. But we've had huge support from pretty much every type of business you can think of, and not just financially, but in kind as well. We'll be doing a pre-day packet pickup at Oak Road Brewery in Somerville, so they're offering their location for us to do that this year. And on the day of the climb, we'll be doing a post-climb celebration at Common House Ale Works. So they're even coming through by donating their venues and things of that nature for us.
Let's shout out to a couple of the people anyway. Do you have some big sponsors, some folks who have stepped up and made a good-sized donation to help the event?
So we do have a number of captain sponsors this year that have really stepped up big. So our captain sponsors are MSA, People's, and iCairo have all three stepped up and been our top three lead sponsors for this year.
And if someone listening owns a business or they're an individual and they want to somehow sponsor and help out, what's the next step that they should take?
All that info is online at charlestonstairclimb.com, and they can reach out to us directly or find all the sponsor levels actually on our website.
And if there's someone listening who is thinking, boy, I'd really like to help at the event, but I don't know that I can do the stair climb itself, are there volunteer opportunities? Are there things that you're looking for that an individual may be able to help you out with?
For sure. We will have lots of volunteer opportunities for the day of. We need people there to pass out water, people to help take photos, to direct people on which way to go, check people in for registration. So all of those volunteer opportunities are going up on our website this week, and people can sign up right there for the times that work best for them. We're out there bright and early that day getting ready for people. So we'll start between 5 and 6 that day in the morning, and we'll be going through the afternoon with volunteer opportunities.
So, John, we're a little over a month away from the event. Can you make some suggestions? Somebody saying, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm not really in shape right now, but I think I want to participate. Any tips for someone to get ready to be a part of the Charleston Stair Climb?
Just get moving. That's all you got to do is just get moving. Just start walking. You don't have to necessarily just go out and start hammering steps. Just get moving. Do any kind of activities, and I think you'll be well prepared. You know, a lot of people kind of overestimate how bad it's going to be, and it's not really all that bad. It's in their heads when they think 110 floors. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, honestly, if you look down at your watch, you got a step counter on your watch, and just look at your app. It's going to tell you how many steps you climbed that day. So to be honest with you, it's really not going to be that bad. I think most people really worry about it, the climbing aspects of it, but it's really not that bad. So they can go to our Facebook page to get all that information as well. And they can see pictures of other climbers on there climbing, some videos on there of people climbing and those types of things.
And you personally, when you went to New York and did the tunnel run, how did you do in terms of your time, and were you satisfied at the end with how you performed?
Yes, I did very well, considering I climbed 330 floors the day before that in New York.
Holy heck.
Yeah, and that was kind of a late night after that stair climb. And then we got on the bus at like 3 a.m. and went down and did the tunnels or towers, and then flew out that afternoon. But yeah, it was very rewarding, I can tell you. Running through those towers and seeing FDNY out there holding sign and yelling out Charleston, Charleston, as I was running through there was pretty amazing. And it's one of those things you just can't encounter every day. To have them yell that was just unbelievable. Just kind of gives me goosebumps.
Rachel, at last year's event, you had some folks that came in from out of the area. Will we have the same sort of thing this year? Who will we look forward to in terms of some special folks that might be on hand for the Charleston Stair Climb this year?
So we have climbers coming from all over the country participating, as far as California and Washington State, all up and down the coast and everywhere in between. Then in regards to special guests, we will have firefighters and retirees from the FDNY that will be joining us and playing a special role in the ceremony and through the climb this year. And then we'll also have some local participants that will help us throughout the ceremony this year to honor our guys here in Charleston.
So registration is on now. It is a little bit limited, so if somebody wants to get involved with the stair climb, I know they still can. What should they do to be a part of this year's event?
Sign up today. It is getting closer to the date, which means spots are getting limited. We will cap it at 412. So visit our website or our Facebook page for the registration link. It's just charlestonstairclimb.com.
So from here on out, John, we just need people to sign up to climb.
That's it. Just want to make sure everybody goes to the Facebook page. The Charleston Memorial Stair Climb Facebook page is on Instagram and our webpage. They can contact us from there. If they have any questions as far as sponsorships, please reach out and sponsor this event because it's a huge community event.
And Rachel, how about a final reminder from you?
This event is not a race, so we're not going out there trying to beat each other or get a max time or whatever it may be. We are out there to show support and honor those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. It's open to everybody. Come out and enjoy. You can take your time. We will not leave until the last person's done. So we'll be there as everybody climbs the 110 flights. Positive side is it's up and down. We do include the down when we're counting the flights at our Coliseum. We just don't have anywhere that's 110 stories around here. And there's plenty of seats. So if you need to stop and take a break, you're welcome to.
John and Rachel Cole are the event director and organizers for the Charleston Memorial Stair Climb on June 18th at the North Charleston Coliseum, and our guests today on Lowcountry Forever.
Thanks for listening to Lowcountry Forever. If you missed any of this week's show, there's a complete recording under the podcast link at lowcountryforever.com. Lowcountry Forever is a public affairs presentation of the Charleston Radio Group.